So here we're going to start with the graph. So we've been given the graph of this relationship. So on the x-axis is the number of minutes of use of a cell phone, and on the y-axis is the cost of the use of that cell phone. Okay, so there's a relationship between how many minutes we use our cell phone to the cost of our service. So this graph has an equation related to it. It has a table related to it. So when we look at the graph, this is a straight line pattern. Okay, it looks like it starts at 20 and it goes up kind of by, looks like for every 100 minutes we're going up maybe about $10. Okay, so when we describe this pattern, first of all, it's a straight line pattern. So this is what we call a linear relationship. Okay, so how can we describe this straight line pattern? What are the things that characterize this relationship or this picture? Well, this line has what we call an angle or slope to it. Okay, and it also has kind of a position. It's fixed position in space. So that line, although has the same angle to it, it's in a different place. And so what we can do is we can fix a point on that line and compare it to another fixed point on this line, and they're different. One point that is easiest to keep track of is what we call the y-intercept, or we'll call it the starting point as well, because that's essentially where this pattern starts. It starts at 0 minutes and it goes up that way. So when we describe this pattern, that's a convenient place to start. So I'm going to say in words it starts at $20. And then when we describe, so I'm going to label that 1, so that's one part of the description, but there's two things that describe this. The other thing is the angle that's going up. Okay, and so to be able to describe that, maybe I can describe the angle or the rate at which it's going up as we go over 100 for every 100 minutes. 100 minutes, it's going up $10. Okay, so that's how I'm going to describe. So that's the other part of this relationship. There's, to describe that straight line, we want an angle and kind of a fixed point. So our fixed point is going to be we starting at $20, and the angle that's going up at is going to be goes up at $10 for every 100 minutes used. Okay, so these are two things that we want to connect to this straight line pattern. Some fixed point. Now we can use any point, but that y-intercept or that starting point is a very useful point to start at. So I'm just going to highlight that actually. So that's our starting point. The starting point is going to be that point right there. The rate at which it goes up is kind of describing the angle. So that we really can just show as this little kind of triangle there, or showing the rate at which it's going up. Okay, so this is how we can start describing straight line patterns. There's two things that are really essential to the straight line pattern. Some point, and we're going to use a starting point for now, and the angle that it goes up or how quickly it rises. Okay, we're going to call that a rate. And so again, it looks like there's some rate involved in the linear relationship. So make a table of values from the graph. So I'm going to just start at 0 and $20. Really, that should be always in my table, the starting point, because it's really important, especially for any type of relationships, to know where we're starting from. And I'm going to say at 100 minutes, we have gone up $10, so I'm at now $30. And notice that these are not proportional. Okay, so the proportion is not going to be seen in the table, and we're going to look for that proportion somewhere else. So for 200 minutes, we're going to say that it was $40. Okay, I'm going to put down right about, that looks like 200 minutes there. So it looks like I made a mistake here. So that looks like it's 200 minutes, it went up $10. Okay, so I'm going to have to change that. I'm going to have to change my description here. So it goes up $10 for every 200 minutes used. Okay, so my table then is going to be 200 minutes. I'm going to go up $10 to $30 for, let's go to 500. 500 minutes used. It's gone up, looks like it's gone up about $25. So now we're at 45. Okay, and I'm going to just maybe do 1,000 minutes here. And 1,000 minutes, my cell phone charge is $70. Okay, and if we continue for 1,500 minutes, how would I figure that out? Okay, well, I can't just say, well, use a proportion here, say 1,500, right? It's going to be 3 times more than $45, and I say it's $135. It doesn't. This is not what we call a direct proportion. Our proportion or a rate does not show up right in the table. Okay, but what we can do is this. We can say that we know it's going up 500 minutes here, and it went up $25. That's kind of consistent because we see that here as well. Is plus $25 plus 500 minutes. This is actually a constant ratio, a consistent ratio, 500 to 25, 500 to 25. So this is where our proportion is going to show up now. It's going to show up on the outside of the table. Okay, so if I just do another 500 here then, to 1,500 minutes, I'm going to go up, not, $45 or something like that, but proportionally it's going to go up $25. So I'm now at $95. So if this goes up to 1,500 minutes, I'm now paying $95. I think I kind of missed one question here. So what is the cost per minute? Well, if it goes up $10 for every 200 minutes, well, this is my ratio, $10 for 200 minutes. Well, this is a proportion, and my proportion is going to be the same for this because I have triangles and I have similar triangles here. This is just going to make proportional triangles. Okay, so if I want to make this a proportion, then I only want the unit rate, 1 minute. Well, how do I find unit rates? I divide. So I'm going to end up with 5 cents per minute. Okay, so this is going to be our cost per minute ends up being 5 cents per minute. And I see a rate in here, and I can simplify that rate as well. So there's lots of things going on here. So the big idea is we have this relationship, a linear relationship. It's showing up as a picture. I can describe it in words. Okay, I can make a table of values. I want you to connect this idea that linear relationships have some sort of proportion. Now, sometimes they're direct proportions, but often the proportion is not direct, so we can't actually compare the proportion in the table. This is a new concept here. The proportion then is now showing up on the outside. My 500 to 25 ratio is showing up as changes. These are actually changes in the table. And that proportion can then be scaled down to a unit rate, which I've done in part C here.